Today I am back with an original book tag. Is that possible? I honestly don't know. Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Andy. I hope you're all doing really well. I felt inspired by the Inside Out tag. I'll link the original creator down below. I don't think these questions or these exact questions exist anywhere else. If they do, please let me know and I'll be sure to put credit where credit is due. But if this is just all me, I'm thrilled. So let's get started. This tag is gonna be the all the feels tag, and it is exactly what it sounds like it's gonna be. We're gonna be talking about books that evoked a lot of emotion in us as readers. And so there's 10 questions. I don't have any rules around what books count or don't count, whether you do multiple books. As you're gonna see in a little bit, I am doing more than one book for most of these questions anyway. So feel free to do this tag people, don't tag people, do whatever you want. I support you. But let's get started. Number 1 is a book or a book series that makes you smile. And I have a few for this. The first series I want to mention is the Veronica Speedwell series by Dana Raybourn. I love this whole series. Every book brings a smile to my face. I absolutely adore Stoker and Veronica. If you haven't read this series, it's I don't know if it's technically a cozy mystery, but it feels cozy to me. And each book is its own mystery. And you follow Veronica, Speedwell, and Stoker as they solve crimes, mysteries. They get connected for reasons, and they are stuck together as the books go on for reasons. But it is an absolute delight and everyone should read them. It's really, really a fun time. I also want to give huge shout outs in the books that make me smile category for the Ravenels series by Lisa Kleypas and the Ruthless Rivals series by Kate Bateman. When I had COVID this past spring, these historical romance series really got me through a really, really sick and dark time. I still think about the characters and the family months and months later. They're really, really fun. And if you don't typically like historical romance, but you're kind of into Bridgerton, the TV show, I think either one of these authors, but in particular, either of these series is a great place to start. All right, number 2 is a book that puts you in a state of rage, in an all-American rage. If you know the reference, if you know, you know. But I would say the only book I can really think of for this, other than some nonfiction that I anticipate putting me in an all-American rage, I just haven't read them yet. The only book that I've read in recent memory that really made me mad was The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I went into that book with so much hype and excitement, and I hated it. And I know that I am in the minority with that because I feel like this trilogy is kind of beloved by Book Talk and Booktube, etc. But it was not for me. I did not like the main character. I did not like the love interest. It felt really, really young to me. So I think I was so let down, and the characters did such stupid and mean shit. It made me mad. I'm still mad about it today. And I'm just mad because it didn't live up to the hype for me. So yeah, that was a hard one for me, and I did not like it. All right, number 3 is a book that made you really sad. It brought out the sad girl or boy person vibes in yourself. Tearfulness was a reoccurrence throughout your reading experience. For me, I think of a few. The first book that I can remember in recent years that really made me cry was A Man Called Uwe by Frederick Bachman. I felt so deeply connected to Uwe that the end of the book, I was bawling. There are several points where I had to close the book and pause to let myself just really ugly cry. And I loved that book so much. It's one of my favorites from either 2020 or 2021. It is so good. It's so heartwarming. I mean, it's about this like grumpy old man and his life. God, it's good. It's so good. If you haven't read it, highly recommend. Another book that I think also kind of like set the bar for me of like what it means to really make me emotional in a tearful way with books is The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. I mean, I feel like this is a common experience when people read this book, but oh man, I was sobbing at several points in that book. And if you don't know, The Nightingale, it follows two sisters during World War II in France. And it's kind of about how these two sisters are fighting or rebelling against the Nazis, but in very different ways. And you kind of see how they deal with that. It was so good. And I don't typically like World War II specifically, historical fiction, but it was really good. It was really emotional. Again, it was one of my favorite books whatever year it was that I read it. Another book that I read recently that really hit me deep. I'm in a book club with my sisters and some of our family friends. I think our book club is called Broads Who Book, which is great. And we recently read Someone Knows My Name by Lawrence Hill. And it's about, it follows the main character, Aminata, as she's like captured as a young girl into slavery, and it kind of like follows her throughout her life and all of the horrors that she survives. And it's really a story about survival and courage and freedom. And it is a really emotional read, but man, was it good. All right, number 4 is a book that kept you giggling, like a really funny, a really silly book or book series. I think for me, a recent read that really had me laughing out loud at times was The Fastest Way to Fall by Denise Williams. This is a romance, like in a very true to itself rom-com fashion. It follows Britta and Wes, and Britta is a journalist of some kind, and she is writing about a fitness app that coincidentally Wes owns or is the CEO of, and they meet not really realizing who each other is, and just like friendship ensues, romance blossoms. Britta in particular is a really funny, witty character, and she kind of brings out this like really dorky, silly side of Wes. And yeah, it was really a funny read. So that one definitely kept me giggling throughout. All right, number 5 is a book that made you green with envy. And it could be envy about anything. Like, I want to be this character. I want to be with a character from the book. I want that job. I want that life. Like, really be creative. Whatever part of a book that makes you really envious, you can include it. I think for me, this is probably like, I don't know, I struggled with this one a little bit. And the answer I came up with is A Court of Mist and Fury, like the ACOTAR series, because Rhysand and honestly Cassian are my fictional boyfriends, and I love them. I think about them often, and I'm very, very jealous that Nesta gets to be with Cassian, and I'm very, very upset that Feyre gets to be with Rhysand. I'm very jealous. All right, number 6 is a book that scared the pants off of you. So a really, really, really scary or stressful book. I don't read a lot of scary books because my imagination will run wild with them. But I will say a book that I anticipate will scare the pants off of me, and it's on my, I don't know, sometime in the near future TBR, is Parable of the Sower by Octavia E. Butler. I've just heard a lot of people say that like, it like hits home, very real fears like brought to light. And I think that makes me anxious and nervous. And so I feel like that's a book that's really gonna make me scared. All right, number 7 is a book that bored you to tears or put you to sleep. I have 2 for this one. Both are fantasy romance, which is a huge bummer because that's like one of my favorite genres because I feel like they're always exciting and engaging. But the 2 in particular that come to mind that I was really bored in, one was War by Laura Thalassa. I loved the first book in that series, Pestilence. And so I was really excited to jump into book 2, which was War. And I think there were just too many similarities, too many like parallels between the two books. Like it felt like I was reading the same book, but inserting a different character. And for that reason, I did not care. I ended up DNFing it after finishing 80% of the book because I did not care. I literally fell asleep while listening to the audiobook for it because I was trying to like push myself to finish it because I originally got it on Kindle, and it was hopeless. It literally bored me to sleep. The other one that really bored me was, okay, so I read by Scarlett St. Clair, the Hades and Persephone trilogy, and I really liked it. I thought it was fun and steamy, and it was wildly entertaining. And I was really excited when I found out that Hades had his own spin-off. And so I started book 1. It's called A Game of Fate. And it was so disappointing because it was basically just book 1 from the Hades and Persephone's story, but from Hades' perspective. So it felt really repetitive. I was like so disappointed. Barely got through it. It was not good. Would not recommend, which is really, it stinks. Okay, number 8 is a book that made you like hot as hell. Like I could also think of quite a few books that meet this for me. I think first of all, anything Kennedy Ryan writes is for me. Her writing is so good. The steamy scenes are like so authentic and spicy, and they're so good. And her characters always have great chemistry. So like anything by Kennedy Ryan, yes. Another book that is kind of dark, so I don't know that it's one that I would, openly recommend, is The Sea of Ruin by Pam Godwin. This book has it's a pirate romance basically, but this book has a lot of dark stuff that happens. Like definitely check the trigger warnings or content warnings because it is not a light, easy breezy, like Pirates of the Caribbean vibe. It is really dark, but some stuff happens at the end that is, I don't know, I feel like you don't come across it much. And it was a lot of fun. If you like a dark romance and like pirates, I think it's a good one to check out. Another book that really surprised me with how spicy and steamy it was The Boss by Abigail Barnett. And this was actually a book that one of my sisters recommended to me. So I really wasn't expecting it to be all that spicy because that's not always her jam. But woo, it was a hot series. I really enjoyed it. It was really fun. If I remember, I remember nothing about the plot. All I remember is that it would be like 5 chili peppers. It was really hot and steamy. Number 9 is a book that makes you want to be your best self or promotes growth or change, evolution, whatever. I think for me, a book that really stands in my mind for this is Permission to Feel by Dr. Mark Brackett. And I love this book for many, many reasons. First of all, it just kind of teaches you about a way of being, especially around understanding emotions, labeling feelings with sophistication and precision, how to regulate and express your feelings in a way that is helpful and helps you meet a goal. I mean, the whole book is like so tangible, and it's something that I try to embrace and incorporate into my personal and professional life. So it is so good. It's probably the only book that I have in my book collection that I have dog-eared, highlighted, written notes in the margin. It is a really important book to like me as a human. And then finally, number 10, a book that brings up an essence of nostalgia. 2 books come to mind for me. One is all of the Shel Silverstein books. I loved those poems as a kid. Those books were so comfortable to me, and they evoked a lot of imagination and humor, and I just loved them so much. Another book that randomly, I can't even quite remember the name of it, but it was one of the books from the La Madeline series. I'll put a picture up. I mean, I've been putting pictures up for all of the books, but this one in particular, I don't know what it was about this book, but I read it 1,000 times as a kid. I think at one point I probably had the whole thing memorized. It just like really reminds me of my childhood. And oh my God, another book that really, oh my God, I kind of forgot about this until I'm doing this now. But there is a book when we were little kids. I think it was called Everybody Poops. And there's one page in the book where it's basically like a potty training book for like toddlers and young kids, but I'm the oldest of 4 siblings, so I feel like I remember reading it a lot with myself, but also for like all of my younger siblings. There's one page in particular where the whole text, it just says, and wait, and wait, and wait, and wait. It says it like 100 times. Oh my God, that book, I loved it. That was probably honestly the first time I ever, I don't know, as a kid liked reading. I feel like my mom, when we would do our little like bedtime cuddles, like we would read that book even way beyond the time that I was potty trained. That's really embarrassing. I don't know why I'm sharing that with you all, but anyways, that's a book that makes me nostalgic. All right, so like I said, this was an original maybe tag. Please feel free to do it on your own or tag people. Don't tag people. Really, it's all the same to me. I just wanted an excuse to talk about some books that gave me all the feels. If you made it to the end, leave one of the face emojis, I guess. Do the angry one or the green one that's barfing, or the one with the tears, the big smile, whatever fits your mood right now. This is a safe space for us to talk about our feelings. So I hope you had fun. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.